A security alert came at 0347 station time. Captain Zara's hand moved to her sidearm before her eyes fully opened. Red lights pulsed across her quarters aboard the Eternal Harmony flagship of the Vryn Empire. The message scrolled across her retinal display. Unauthorized thermal signature detected. Royal Nursery Sector. She was moving before thought caught up with instinct. The Royal Nursery, where the Queen's youngest daughters slept. Zara's boots made no sound on the corridor's polished obsidian floor. Her partner, Lieutenant Kess, fell into step beside her, scaled face impassive. They'd served the Royal Guard for 8 cycles. They knew what unauthorized activity near a royal child meant. Assassination, kidnapping, war. The nursery door stood open. Wrong. Always wrong. Protocol demanded it remain sealed, guarded by 4 sentries. The guards stood at their posts, rigid, staring forward. Sweat glistened on their necks.
Report, Jara said. The senior guard's throat worked.
Captain, the Princess Lyria ordered us to admit her guest. We could not refuse royal command. Guest, at 0347, in a secure royal sector. Zara stepped through the doorway and stopped. The thermal signature made sense now. Heat poured from the kitchen unit Princess Lyria had convinced the Queen to install last month. The 7-year-old Vryn princess stood on a floating stool, her small silver scales catching the light, her forearms working with surprising coordination. Beside her, wearing a grease-stained maintenance uniform and looking distinctly uncomfortable, stood a human. Not just any human. Zara's implant identified him immediately. Marcus Webb, civilian engineering contractor, clearance level 3. No authorization to be within 50 sectors of royal quarters. Princess? Jara said quietly. Lyria spun, eyes wide, clutching a mixing implement. Captain Jara! You have to be quiet. You'll ruin the surprise. The human Marcus had gone very still. Smart. His hands remained visible, empty except for what appeared to be a whisk. Zara noted the ingredients spread across the counter. Flour. Sugar. Eggs from the human dietary section. Milk. Chocolate. Princess, this man should not be here, Jara said, keeping her voice gentle but firm. But it's Kess's birthday. Lyria's voice carried that particular pitch that meant she was close to crying. Tomorrow is Lieutenant Kess's hatching day, and humans make special food for birthdays, and I wanted to make her a cake because she's always so nice to me and she never gets to celebrate because Vryn don't do birthdays, and that's sad. Her partner's face had gone carefully blank, but something flickered in her eyes. The princess had noticed. Of course she had. Royal children were trained to observe, to understand, to see what others missed. The princess accessed the station's public database, Marcus said quietly. His hands stayed visible. She sent a message to the human contractor message board asking how to make a birthday cake. I responded with instructions. She replied requesting assistance. I explained I couldn't enter royal sectors. She said. He swallowed. She said it was a royal command. The gesture reminded Jara painfully of the Queen. Princess, you cannot command civilian contractors. You're 7 cycles old. The protocols are stupid. Lyria's voice cracked. Kess told me about her hatching day 3 months ago. She said she remembers it because all the other hatchlings got attention and gifts and she got nothing, because the facilitator said her scales were dull and she'd never amount to anything. She said it didn't matter, but her voice did the thing voices do when something hurts and people pretend it doesn't. I looked up human birthdays and they seemed nice and I wanted to do something nice because Kess is nice and nobody else will because Vryn think birthdays are primitive. The nursery went silent except for the hum of the kitchen unit. Kess hadn't moved. Jara knew her partner's story. Everyone in the guard did. Hatched in a common facility, marked as unremarkable, risen through sheer determination to become one of the Queen's trusted guards. But no one spoke of it. Vryn didn't dwell on hatchling days. Humans did, apparently. The cake's almost done, Marcus said softly. 20 more minutes, then I'll leave. The princess did nothing wrong. She's a child who wanted to do something kind. She violated security protocols, Jara said, but her hand had left her weapon. Then punish me, Lyria said. But let us finish, please. The please broke protocol too. Royals didn't plead with guards. But Jara heard her own daughter in that word, remembered birthdays celebrated in human fashion because her wife was from Earth, remembered the joy in such simple traditions. The Queen would hear of this. There would be consequences. But Jara looked at the primitive human food taking shape, at the princess's desperate hope, at Kess's carefully controlled expression. 20 minutes, she said. Then Mr. Webb leaves through the service corridors. The guards outside say nothing. This incident gets filed as a training exercise. Lyria's face lit up. Thank you, Captain. Next time you want to break protocol for kindness, perhaps inform your guard first. But as she watched the child and the human work together, Zara wondered if this breach might break more than protocol before the night was through. The cake emerged from the unit at 0412. It wasn't elegant by Vrin standards. Humans preferred their food rough and organic rather than geometrically precise. But it smelled extraordinary, sweet and rich, unlike anything Zara had encountered. Marcus had brought something called frosting in a thermal container, and Lyria spread it with intense concentration, her tongue visible between her teeth. It's chocolate, Lyria explained, not looking up from her work. Humans give chocolate on special days. I researched Kess's biology to make sure she could digest it. She can. Most of it, anyway. Most of it. Zara made a mental note to have medical standing by. It's ready, Marcus said. He'd written something on the top in white frosting. Happy birthday, Kess. Lyria clapped her 4 hands together. Lieutenant Kess, you have to come see. Kess approached slowly. She stared at the cake, a simple round thing, brown with white letters, utterly foreign to Vrin tradition. Her throat worked. The princess made this, Zara said quietly. For you. With Marcus's help. Lyria insisted. I couldn't have done it alone. The measurements were confusing and the oven temperature kept fluctuating and I didn't know how to make frosting. But it's for you. Because you matter. Because the day you hatched was important even if nobody said so. Kess's hand trembled as she reached out, stopping just short of touching the cake. Princess, This is... Do you like it? The vulnerability in Lyria's voice could shatter stars. I have never, Kess said, her voice rough, received a gift for my hatching day. Not in 34 years. That's wrong, Lyria said firmly. You deserve gifts. You deserve someone to remember. Something in Kess's expression cracked. She dropped to one knee, bringing herself to the princess's eye level. Thank you, Your Highness. This is the greatest honor of my life. We have to eat it, Lyria said practically. That's the tradition. Together.
Marcus brought plates and forks.
They ate cake at 0427 station time in the royal nursery. Guards standing watch outside, protocols thoroughly shattered. The chocolate tasted like nothing in Vren cuisine. Intense, sweet, complex. Kess ate slowly, savoring each bite, her eyes bright. Zara took a piece. Rich, strange, undeniably wonderful. Tomorrow I'll be in so much trouble, Lyria said cheerfully, chocolate smudging her silver scales. But it was worth it. The Queen will hear of this, Zara agreed. I know. Mama hears everything. But she also says that sometimes the right thing matters more than the proper thing. She told me that when she explained why she married Papa, even though he was from a lower house and everyone said she shouldn't. Marcus cleared his throat. I should leave before the shift change. Thank you for helping, Lyria said solemnly. You're a good human. He glanced at Zara. Captain, I accept full responsibility for this breach. Kess will escort you out. After they left, Zara sat with the princess in the quiet nursery, the remains of the cake between them. Was I wrong? Lyria asked quietly. You violated protocols designed to keep you safe. But was I wrong to want Kess to feel special? Zara looked at the child. This small creature who would someday rule a star empire, who already understood that power meant nothing without compassion. No, princess, you weren't wrong. But there are better ways to show kindness than breaking security protocols at 0347. Will you teach me? That's not my role. That word that shouldn't exist in royal vocabulary. Zara sighed. I'll teach you, but this conversation stays between us. Lyria smiled, brilliant and genuine. Then she frowned. The Queen really will hear about this, won't she? She already knows, said a voice from the doorway. Zara was on her feet instantly, hand to heart in salute. Queen Mirana stood in the entrance, her guards flanking her, her scaled face unreadable. She wore her formal robes despite the hour. She'd come immediately. Mama, Lyria whispered. The Queen entered the nursery, her gaze sweeping across the scene. The cake, the mixing implements, the chocolate smudges, her daughter's frightened face. Leave us, she said quietly. Captain Jara, remain. The room emptied. Jara stood at attention, watching the most powerful being in the Vren Empire approach her 7-year-old daughter. You summoned a civilian contractor to your quarters in the middle of the night, the Queen said. Yes, Mama. You commanded guards to allow unauthorized access to royal sectors. Yes, Mama. Lyria's voice had gone very small. The Queen knelt, bringing herself to her daughter's level, much as Kes had done earlier. Why? Because Kes was sad on her birthday and nobody cared, and I wanted her to know someone cared, and humans make cakes for birthdays, and it seemed nice, and I thought it would make her happy. The words tumbled out in a rush. I know I broke rules, but they're stupid rules if they mean we can't be kind to people who protect us. Then the Queen did something Zara had never seen in 12 years of service. She laughed. Not the polite amusement royals displayed at formal functions, but genuine laughter, rich and warm. You are, the Queen said, pulling her daughter into an embrace, going to be a magnificent ruler someday, and also probably give me grayscales before my time. I'm in trouble? Oh, you are absolutely in trouble. You endangered yourself, violated protocols, and commandeered a civilian contractor. Your punishment will be substantial. Lyria's face fell. However, the Queen continued, your instincts were sound. Kes has served our family with distinction, and you're right. Her hatching day should be acknowledged. She stood, turning to Zara. Captain, effective immediately. The Royal Guard will implement human-style birthday celebrations for all personnel. Research appropriate traditions and present me with protocols. Your Majesty? My daughter has identified a weakness in our culture. We train our soldiers to serve, to sacrifice, to protect, but we forget they are people who deserve recognition for simply existing. The humans understand something we've lost. We will learn from them. The Council will object, Jara said carefully. Then they can object. I am Queen. Marana looked down at her daughter. As for you, young princess, your punishment is this. You will personally research birthday traditions for every member of the Royal Guard. You will plan appropriate celebrations for each one. And you will do so while completing your regular studies, which means less free time for the next 3 months. Additionally, you will write formal apologies to each guard you commandeered tonight, explaining what you should have done differently. Yes, Mama, Lyria said, trying to hide her smile. It wasn't really a punishment at all, and they both knew it. And Lyria? Next time you want to change the world, discuss it with me first. We'll change it together. Properly. Yes, Mama. After the Queen left, Lyria looked up at Zara. She wasn't really angry. She was terrified, Zara corrected. You could have been hurt. But she's also proud. She saw suffering and acted to end it. That's what rulers do. Can I give you a piece of cake to take home? For your daughter? Zara smiled. I'd like that, Princess. As she walked back to her quarters later, cake carefully wrapped in a container, Zara reflected on the night. A human contractor, a 7-year-old princess, and a simple birthday cake had just altered Vren culture. Word would spread through the guard by morning. By afternoon, it would reach the noble houses. By evening, the entire empire would know that the Queen had endorsed human birthday traditions. All because a child noticed someone's pain and decided it mattered more than rules. Her daughter would love this story. Humans would love this story. And somewhere, the galaxy shifted just slightly, as it always did when kindness proved stronger than protocol. The morning after the cake incident, as it was already being called, Lieutenant Kess reported for duty at 0600 exactly. She stood perfectly at attention, her scales freshly polished, her uniform immaculate. But Jara noticed something different, a small pin attached to her collar that hadn't been there before. It was crude, clearly handmade, showing a simple cake design etched in metal. Lieutenant? Zara said quietly. Captain? The pin is not regulation. The princess made it for me this morning. She said it was to remember that someone cares. I will remove it if ordered. Zara considered. The Queen had seen it. She'd walked past Kess twice already and said nothing. Keep it. But be prepared for questions. Guards approached Kess during shift change. Curious, confused. The story spread like fire through dry grass. By midday, the human contractors were fielding requests for birthday cakes from Vren guards who'd never celebrated a hatching day in their lives. Marcus Webb found himself suddenly popular, his small quarters crowded with Vren soldiers asking about frosting techniques and proper candle placement. He handled it with bemused patience. explaining traditions he'd grown up with, adapting them to Vryn biology and culture. The queen watched it all from her throne room, reports flowing in hourly. The noble houses were divided. Half thought it a charming eccentricity. Half saw it as dangerous human influence corrupting Vryn tradition. Both halves were wrong. It was something simpler and more profound. Recognition that every life, regardless of status or origin, deserved to be celebrated. Princess Lyria attacked her punishment with characteristic intensity. She interviewed every member of the royal guard, learning their hatching days, their preferences, their stories. She discovered that Guard Tenna had never tasted chocolate. The Commander Voss secretly loved the color blue despite it being considered undignified. That young guard prawl had hatched on the same day as her grandfather's death and associated the date with sadness rather than celebration. She documented everything in meticulous detail, presenting her findings to the Queen each evening. There are 147 guards, Lyria reported on the third day. 68 have never celebrated their hatching day. 49 can't remember anyone ever acknowledging it. 30 remember celebrations from when they were very young, before entering military service. None currently celebrate. And your plan? The Queen asked. Lyria pulled out a carefully organized chart. Monthly celebrations for everyone hatched in that month. Individual cakes would be inefficient and potentially cause jealousy, so group celebrations promote unity. We can incorporate Vryn traditions, gift-giving, honor displays, remembrance ceremonies, but add human elements like cakes and the birthday song Marcus taught me. Each celebration should include time for guards to share memories of their hatching or stories from their lives. It builds connection.
Thorough.
Thoughtful. Politically astute. You've been planning this since before you made Kess's cake, haven't you? I've been researching for 2 months. I was trying to figure out how to convince you. Then Kess's birthday was coming, and I thought maybe if I showed you instead of asking, you'd understand better. Was that wrong? It was manipulative. Yes, Mama. It was also brilliant. You will make a dangerous queen someday. Mirana smiled.
Implement your plan. Start with next month.
I want the first celebration to be perfect. By week's end, the story had spread beyond the flagship. Human settlements across Vryn space reported increased interactions with Vryn civilians asking about birthday traditions. Cultural exchange programs saw a surge in enrollment. A Vryn bakery on Station Meridian began offering human-style cakes, selling out within hours. The noble houses convened an emergency session. Lord Tarak, conservative and traditional, addressed the Queen directly. Your Majesty, with respect, this birthday nonsense has become a distraction. The Guard is less focused on duty, more concerned with cake flavors and decorative traditions. We are Vryn, not humans. We should not adopt their primitive customs simply because they seem novel. Queen Mirana let the silence stretch. Then she stood, descending from her throne to stand among the assembled nobles. Lord Tarak, how many guards died protecting your estates during the Krell uprising? 7, Your Majesty. Can you name them? His throat worked. There were many casualties. I cannot recall every. Lieutenant Kess can name them. She served with 5 of them. She remembers their hatching days, their families, their hopes. She carries their memory because she believes every life matters, not just in death, but in all the small moments that make up a life. A hatching day, a moment of recognition. A simple acknowledgement that they exist is more than tools of duty. The humans have not lost wars because they celebrate birthdays, the Queen continued. They have won them, fought by soldiers who know they are valued as individuals, not just weapons. We will learn from this. We will adapt. We will become stronger by recognizing that strength is not found only in discipline, but in connection, in gratitude, in remembering that before they were guards, they were children who deserve to be celebrated. She turned to Lord Tarak. You need not celebrate birthdays in your own house, but you will not interfere with those who choose to do so. Is that understood? Yes, Your Majesty. The first official birthday celebration occurred 4 weeks after the cake incident. The Queen had designated the main assembly hall for the event, and every guard hatched in the month of Vernal attended. Princess Lyria had worked with Marcus and a team of human bakers to create an enormous cake, large enough to serve 200. It was a work of art. Chocolate and vanilla layers, frosting in the royal colors, topped with sugar sculptures of the Vryn homeworld. The guards entered uncertainly, unused to being celebrated rather than serving. The Queen attended personally, bringing not just Lyria but her entire immediate family. She gave a short speech about service and sacrifice, then added something unexpected. When we forget to celebrate life, we forget why we defend it. Today we celebrate not just those hatched in vernal, but all of you who have given your lives to our protection. You deserve more than duty. You deserve joy." Then she did something that shocked every person present. She began to sing. The human birthday song was simple, easily adapted to Vryn phonetics. The Queen's voice rang clear and strong, and Princess Lyria joined in immediately, her young voice bright. Slowly, hesitantly, others joined, first the human contractors, then some of the younger guards, then more and more until the entire hall resonated with sound. Lieutenant Kess stood among her fellow guards, tears streaming down her scaled face, and for the first time in 34 years she felt the universe acknowledge that her existence mattered beyond her usefulness. They ate cake together, guards and royalty, and the boundaries between them softened just slightly. Stories were shared, memories of hatchings, of first trainings, of moments of fear and triumph. The guards who'd never celebrated their birthdays listened to those who had, learning what they'd missed. Marcus Webb stood to the side, watching the event he'd inadvertently helped create. Princess Lyria found him there. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for teaching me about birthdays, for helping me understand why they matter." "You taught yourself, Princess. I just provided the recipe." "Will you come to the next celebration? And the next?" "I want you to help us remember to be kind." Marcus bowed. "It would be my honor." In the weeks that followed, the birthday tradition spread beyond the royal guard. Civilian Vryn began adopting the practice, adapting it to their own customs. Some houses embraced it fully, others rejected it, but the choice to celebrate, or not, became a matter of personal freedom rather than cultural rigidity. The humans watched with quiet satisfaction as the empire they'd allied with became just slightly more human, even as they adopted Vryn precision and discipline in return. Cultural exchange had always been the foundation of the alliance, but this felt different. This felt personal. 6 months after the incident, Queen Mirana called Captain Jara to a private audience. "The birthday initiative has exceeded expectations," the Queen said. "Morale in the Guard has improved significantly, retention rates are up. Several houses have reported improved relationships with their security forces. The humans are pleased with the cultural exchange." "All because my 7-year-old daughter broke protocol to make a cake. Princess Lyria has always been exceptional, Your Majesty. She asked me yesterday why we don't celebrate other human traditions." "Thanksgiving," she said. "A day specifically for expressing gratitude. She wants to implement it empire-wide." Zara suppressed a smile.
"And your response? I told her to prepare a detailed proposal. I expect she'll present it within the week."
The Queen's expression softened. "Zara, you were there that night. You could have stopped her. You could have arrested Marcus, confined Lyria to quarters, followed protocol exactly as written. Why didn't you?" "Because I saw a child trying to ease suffering using the only tools available to her. Because Lieutenant Kess deserved kindness. Because sometimes protocols exist to protect us from thinking about whether there might be better ways to live. And because I trust that Your Majesty values compassion as much as order, even when that compassion violates security protocols. Especially then. The most dangerous threats to the Empire won't come from a human contractor helping a princess bake a cake. They'll come from forgetting why the Empire is worth protecting in the first place. You remind me why I chose you for the Royal Guard. You understand that true security isn't found in rigid protocols, but in earning the loyalty of those we lead. In making them want to protect us, not just because it's their duty, but because we've proven we value them. Shall I expect a Thanksgiving proposal then?" "Oh, undoubtedly. And winter solstice celebrations. And probably graduation ceremonies and retirement parties and every other human tradition Lyria can research. My daughter has discovered that culture is not fixed but evolving, and she intends to drag the entire empire along with her evolution. She'll make a remarkable queen. She already is." Mirana smiled. "Dismiss, Captain." "And Jara? Thank you for not stopping her that night. Some protocols are worth breaking." That evening, Jara returned home to find her daughter waiting eagerly. "Did you bring another piece of Vryn cake?" the girl asked hopefully. "Better. I brought the recipe. Your mother and I are going to teach you to bake." They worked together in their small kitchen, Human and Vryn and their hybrid child, measuring flour and sugar, learning to fold ingredients gently, discovering that creation could be as satisfying as duty. The cake that emerged wasn't perfect. It leaned slightly to one side, and the frosting was uneven. But when they sang the birthday song, for no reason except that it was a nice evening and they were together, it tasted like joy. Across the flagship in the royal nursery, Princess Lyria sat with her own cake in progress. Tomorrow was Guardprowl's birthday, and she'd learned he'd never tasted strawberries. The fruit was expensive, imported from Earth, but she'd used her personal allowance to purchase enough for a strawberry cake. She worked carefully, following Marcus's instructions exactly, her 4 hands moving in careful coordination. Her mother had taught her that power meant responsibility. Marcus had taught her that responsibility included kindness. And Kess had taught her, without saying a word, that small gestures could change entire lives. The cake would be ready by morning. Prowl would smile for the first time since his grandfather's death. The Empire would shift another fraction toward compassion. And somewhere in the galaxy, humans and Vryn would continue learning from each other, one birthday cake at a time, building an alliance founded not just on military strength or political advantage, but on the simple recognition that every life, Vryn or human, royal or common, celebrated or forgotten, deserved to be acknowledged with sweetness and song. Princess Lyria finished the strawberry frosting and stepped back to admire her work. It wasn't perfect, but it was made with love, and sometimes that was the most important ingredient of all.